New York City, 1978. A mid-level mob associate named Jimmy Burke is about to pull off the biggest cash robbery in American history. What happens next will spiral into one of the most brutal cover-ups the Mafia has ever seen. And it all starts with a tip about a warehouse at JFK Airport. Jimmy is 46 years old, a career criminal known on the streets as Jimmy the Gent. He isn't interested in drugs or extortion. Stealing is his obsession, his art form, the only thing he truly loves. So when word reaches him about a Lufthansa cargo terminal sitting quietly at JFK, packed with unmarked cash and jewels flown in from Germany, he doesn't hesitate. This is the score of a lifetime. Working with his associate Henry Hill, Jimmy begins building the plan. They get their hands on floor plans of the warehouse, insider details about security shifts, and everything they need to move fast and clean. Piece by piece, a crew comes together. Men Jimmy trusts, men willing to do whatever it takes. Then the moment arrives. A Lufthansa plane touches down from Germany carrying a fortune in cash and jewels. It's unloaded straight into a vault inside the cargo terminal. Jimmy gets the call he's been waiting for. The shipment has landed. His crew pulls on black ski masks, piles into a van, and heads for the warehouse. Jimmy himself stays behind, watching from a distance, orchestrating everything without ever setting foot on the scene. Bolt cutters snap the padlock on the perimeter fence. The van slips inside. Workers are rounded up at gunpoint and marched to the cafeteria. The manager is forced to kill the alarm and open the vault. For a few frantic minutes, the crew hauls out carton after carton of cash and jewels, stuffing them into the van. 40 cartons in total. Then they vanish into the night, splitting up into separate vehicles to avoid suspicion. The take, roughly $6 million in cash and jewels. Nearly $30 million today. It's the largest cash robbery in US history, and for a brief moment, it looks like the perfect crime. But perfect crimes rarely stay perfect. The FBI and NYPD descend on the case almost immediately. It doesn't take long for investigators to realize only a handful of crews in New York have the skill to pull off something this precise. Informants start talking. Jimmy's name surfaces fast. There's just one problem: no evidence. Not enough to charge him, not enough to touch him. And that should have been the end of it. Instead, it's only the beginning of the unraveling. Jimmy knows the van used in the heist is a loose thread that could hang them all. He orders it destroyed. The job falls to one of his crew, a man tasked with driving it straight to a junkyard to be crushed into scrap. But instead, he stops at his girlfriend's apartment in Brooklyn to get high, and never makes it to the junkyard. The van sits parked outside, illegally, in front of a fire hydrant. A routine parking ticket becomes the beginning of the end. Police run the plate. It comes back stolen, flagged in connection with the Lufthansa heist just 2 days earlier. Fingerprints are lifted from inside. Now there's a name attached to the crime scene. When Jimmy finds out, he doesn't see a mistake. He sees a liability, someone who could talk. So he sends men to the driver's apartment. 3 shots later, the loose end is gone. But killing one man doesn't calm Jimmy down. It ignites something far worse. Convinced that everyone connected to the heist is a ticking time bomb, he begins systematically eliminating his own crew. A man complains about not getting paid. He's shot and his body disappears for good. Another crew member, tasked with laundering the stolen cash, is told to keep a low profile. Instead, he buys his wife a custom pink Cadillac and brags about the heist to her. Both of them are murdered, their bodies never recovered. The killings don't stop there. 2 men are executed while sitting in a parked car. Another is left burning on a trash heap in Brooklyn, deliberately placed for police to find. One more is hogtied and locked inside a refrigerated meat truck left to freeze to death. One by one, Jimmy erases anyone who could connect him to the crime until the body count reaches 9. And still, the feds have nothing solid enough to bring him down. For nearly 2 years, it looks like Jimmy might actually get away with it all. Then, in 1980, everything changes. Henry Hill, the man who helped plan the entire heist, gets arrested on a drug trafficking charge. Sitting in an interrogation room, he's played a wiretapped recording. On it, Jimmy can be heard discussing plans to kill him too. Faced with the reality that his own partner wants him dead, Henry makes a choice. He agrees to cooperate with the FBI, turning informant in exchange for protection for himself and his family. He starts talking, and he doesn't stop. Dozens of mob associates go down. Jimmy Burke is arrested and eventually convicted, sentenced to life in prison for his role in the murders. Henry and his family are placed into witness protection, given new names, a new state, a fresh start. But old habits die hard. He's arrested again for drug trafficking, then again and again, until the program finally cuts him loose, forcing him to live out his life under his real name and identity. Remarkably, the retaliation he feared from the mob never comes. He lives out the rest of his years relatively unbothered, the last man standing from a heist that left 9 people dead and became one of the most infamous crimes in American history.